Now, I'm about to tell you something that's going to make other agents maybe mad at me because you absolutely should try to sell your house yourself at the beginning. All right, sort of. Okay, now let me explain because this approach honestly could save you tens of thousands of dollars while actually making you more money than potentially completely doing it alone. So stick with me here, okay? So here's what most agents won't tell you. 38% actually of successful for sale by owners, called FSBOs, for sale by owners, 38% of FSBO transactions, they happen because the seller already knew their buyer. Isn't that amazing? So think about that. More than 1 in 3 people who successfully actually sell their home without an agent, well, representation that is, did it because they sold to friend or family or neighbor or coworker. And honestly, I mean, that makes total sense, right? I mean, you know your network better than any other agent could. Maybe your coworker, right, has been talking about wanting to move into your neighborhood or your school system, or maybe literally your neighbor's daughter is looking to have her first home, or maybe a friend from church has been casually mentioning that they maybe need more space. And so here's my first piece of advice to you is before you do anything else, when you're going to sell your house, reach out to your network, right? Send some texts, make some calls, post on your social media. Let people know that you're thinking about selling because you might be surprised on who responds. But here's where most people, I find, make the biggest mistake though. They think, great, my friend wants to buy my house and I'll just handle everything by myself. It's going to save me on the commissions, and that's a good thing. But that's where things go sideways. In my observation over the last decade, is even when you find your own buyer, especially when it's someone you know, you still need professional protection. And I want to share why. One is protection with pricing, right? Like, how do you know what to actually ask for? You can't always trust Zillow, y'all. So the reality is here, your friend doesn't want to overpay, and you don't want to leave money on the table. So without really proper market analysis, someone's going to get hurt in the deal. And that's not the goal, right? Second is qualification. All right, let's say your nephew says he wants to buy your house. That's awesome. But can he actually get a mortgage? Right? You don't want to find out 45 days into the process that you can't even qualify, and there you are, you're packed up and half moved out. That's not the goal. And then the third is legal protection. Real estate, honestly, the contracts can be a little complex. While it's not rocket science, there's a lot of legality to it. There's disclosures, there's contingencies, there's title issues that sometimes come up, there's home inspection negotiations, and I just find sometimes one mistake really can cost you thousands of dollars because it is a legal contract, legally binding, and sometimes even kill a deal entirely. So let me hit you with some reality, if you don't mind. Okay, for sale by owner sales, just hit actually an all-time low last year. So only 6% of all home sales in 2024, last year, right? 6% of all home sales were for sale by owner. That was lowest that it's been. And, I think the question is why? Probably because people are realizing what it actually takes. Now, here's the number that I think that really should get your attention. Homes sold statistically and nationally, right, or average-wise nationally, homes that sold without an agent sold for an average of $55,000 less than agent-assisted sales. Isn't that crazy? $55,000. That's National Association of Realtors put this stat out. And why is that? I think it's probably because they didn't know the price, right? And reality is also is most buyers that are purposefully searching for sale by owners, they're unqualified, right? They can't work with an agent because an agent's not going to work with them. So they're unqualified, or they're deal hunters. They're looking for deals. And so that's why I think statistically, this is why that stat of $55,000 lower on average. Now, I know you're probably thinking, you should be thinking, but you're saving on commission, right? Well, not really. I mean, because here's the thing: 75% of for sale by owner sellers, they still end up paying a buyer's agent commission. So you're not actually saving what you think you're saving, and possibly leaving tens of thousands of dollars on the table, which is never the goal, right? So, guys, I've sold, I think, almost 1,000 homes, and I've bought a couple dozen homes as investment properties, read negotiation books, gone to conferences every year over the last decade, seeking to learn every angle, every strategy, every trick that maybe buyers or their agents will try. And the reality is that expertise I think you need on your side to make sure that you don't leave that kind of money on the table. Yeah, I mean, real estate, again, like I said, it's not rocket science, but it can be complex. And one mistake really can cost you a lot of money. And honestly, cost you a lot more than the agent's fee, if you really think about it that way. So here, real story. I'm grateful. I love the people that I know. And because I have earned the trust for some folks, sometimes folks will have me talk and really counsel some families that maybe their friends or family in different states through, sometimes it's very stressful real estate transactions that usually went wrong. And it's just not easy. I mean, I've seen it there. I've seen friendships damaged because maybe somebody sold to a friend without proper guidance. And I've seen people lose sleep and lose relationships, which is absolutely the worst, just trying to save a few bucks. So you might be thinking you can just use one of those, for sale by owner websites, right? Well, look, those sites absolutely have their place, okay? They absolutely do. But here's what you need to understand. You're not avoiding partnership in any way by using FSBO.com or any other of these websites. You're just choosing to partner with that website instead of a person. And that website, right, just doesn't know your neighborhood, doesn't know your market, doesn't know how to negotiate on your behalf. That website has zero ability to represent you as a human. And I always like to tell sellers that partners, you need to be picky about who you partner with, right? But every seller always partners with someone or something every time when they sell. So my suggestion is that you partner with somebody local, right? That has skin in the game. Someone who's closed hundreds of transactions in your market. Someone who's gonna be there, right? When the buyer inspection comes and finds issues. Guys, I remember doing a sale. I was helping the buyer actually. We found a house as a sale by owner, and I felt bad as an agent how much I was getting from that seller. But my job was to represent the best interests of my buyer, right? I got so much money off the sale. I got them so much on the inspection report. I felt bad. I mean, my job was to represent the buyer, right? And I was trying to get them the best deal, not to represent the seller. And so I just don't want that, for you when there's buyer inspection issues, or maybe when there's appraisal issues. Appraisal comes in low, or title company, right, discovers a lien against the house that you didn't know about. These are things where you want representation on your side. So I think there's actually a better choice. I think one should partner not with a website, but with an expert who's invested in your success. I think that's the goal. I always say partner with an agent, even if you're trying to sell it on your own, especially at the beginning. So here's my personal approach. If you reach out, let's say to your network, and find a buyer, like I'll come alongside of your transaction just as your transaction manager, right? Significantly reduced rate, and well, you get proper priced homes through the comparative market analysis. You don't lose money. We'll make sure the buyer's qualified, can actually close. We'll handle all the paperwork, disclosures, legal requirements, title companies, and we'll negotiate even the inspection, right? And the repairs if needed. We'll just make sure you get to closing without an issue. So let's say you find the buyer. That's huge. But let us handle everything else so you can sleep at night, right? Knowing the deal is going to actually close properly and you're going to get the full value on the home. And if you reached out to your network and let's say nobody is interested, then that's when we shift into full marketing mode, right? We've got systems that reach buyers that you can't access. We spend time and money into prospecting, into marketing, into negotiating. And honestly, over the last decade, mastering this craft, that's what you get, right? We'll get your home in front of buyers who are ready to pay what it's actually worth. That's the key. So, look, here's the bottom line. You're super smart enough to tap into your network. 38% of successful for sale by owners actually sold the home that way. And so you're wise enough also to know that even a straightforward transaction needs professional protection. Right? I just think so. So as someone who serves this community, honestly, as both real estate agent, investor, guys, I've seen what happens when people try to cut the corners on what's likely the biggest financial transaction of your life, and it rarely ends well. So whatever you have going on, if your goal is to sell, I encourage you, bring in an agent who's experienced, who has the marketing strategies, who's willing to walk with you, and maybe be creative to allow you to try to sell the home by yourself at first, but at least with their partnership at the beginning. That's my recommendation. So I'm Sean with the 1245 team at Keller Williams Realty. You can reach out to us at any time. Our number, our information right here is in the comments. Just get back with us. If you want to learn about the full value of your home and what protection you should have, we are here to serve you. God bless.